The silent beginning it was a cold morning on set. The sun had barely risen, casting a soft orange glow across the lot. Ana de Armas stepped out of her trailer, arms wrapped around herself, not from the cold, but from the quiet weight she carried. Inside, though she smiled for the cameras and laughed during interviews, deep down, she felt a loneliness that fame never warned her about. She had been working nonstop for months. The movie was demanding, filled with emotional scenes that left her drained. She missed her family. She missed simple conversations, the kind where no one expected anything from her. Even though she was surrounded by people, most days felt like walking through fog. Keanu Reeves noticed. He always noticed the things others didn't say. Keanu wasn't loud on set. He moved with grace and stillness, like a man who had made peace with himself. He didn't gossip, didn't show off, and never interrupted anyone. Instead, he listened, deeply. It was this quiet presence that made Ana feel safe around him, even though they hadn't talked much. On this particular day, Ana was rehearsing a difficult scene. It was one of the most emotional parts of the movie. She had to break down, cry, and plead. Take after take, the director pushed her. Again, he said, dig deeper. By the sixth take, Ana felt like she had nothing left to give. She excused herself and stepped outside, away from the cameras. Her hands trembled as she leaned against the wall. She didn't want anyone to see her like that. Not the actress who seemed strong, not the woman who was always smiling. Just Ana, the human being who was tired, vulnerable, unsure. Keanu had been watching from a distance, not out of curiosity, but concern. He followed her quietly, stopping a few steps behind. You okay? He asked gently. Ana turned around. Surprised, she wiped her eyes quickly. Yeah, just needed a minute. Keanu didn't push. He didn't fill the silence with advice or pretend he had answers. He just nodded and stood there, letting her breathe. You ever have days where you feel like you're pretending? Ana asked after a moment. Keanu nodded slowly. All the time. But pretending doesn't mean we're fake. It just means we're trying. His voice was soft, his words careful. And in that moment, Ana felt something shift. Not because someone tried to fix her, but because someone understood her without asking for anything in return. They stood there for a few minutes. No cameras, no lights, no scripts. Just two people in quiet understanding. The next morning, Ana arrived on set early. She found a small note on her dressing room mirror. It said, "You're doing better than you think." There was no name, but she knew it was from Keanu, and for the first time in days, she smiled. Not the forced kind, not the press kind, a real honest smile that stayed. What Ana didn't know was that Keanu had noticed more than just her sadness. He had made a quiet decision. He was going to make sure she never felt invisible again. Not on his watch, because kindness wasn't about big gestures or public praise. It was about noticing the storm in someone's eyes and offering your umbrella. Without a word, and Keanu Reeves had always been good at that. A quiet promise stays moved slowly after that moment outside the trailer. The set returned to its usual rhythm, lines rehearsed, cameras rolling, makeup retouches in between, but something had quietly changed for Ana. She began to notice small things: a fresh cup of warm tea waiting for her on her chair after a long scene, folded blanket resting over her seat when the studio turned cold. No one ever said who did it, but she knew. There was no need for guessing. It was Keanu. Always thoughtful, always silent. Ana began to see him differently. Not as the Hollywood legend everyone admired, but as a man who carried a calm strength. There was a kindness in the way he moved, a patience in how he waited for people to speak, even when they didn't know how. One afternoon, during a quiet lunch break, they found themselves sitting together on the steps of the studio. No crew, no fans, just two people with sandwiches and silence. Why do you do it? Ana asked softly. Keanu looked up from his sandwich. Do what? All the little things, the notes, the tea, the quiet help? He smiled gently and looked at the trees swaying beyond the studio walls, because people did it for me once, when I didn't have the words. and I was trying to hold myself together. Anna didn't ask for more. She didn't need details. She could hear the weight behind his voice, the history tucked inside his calm. "Thank you," she whispered. Keanu nodded. "You don't have to say that." "I know, but I want to." Later that week, Anna surprised everyone. She brought coffee for the crew before sunrise, handwritten. Thank you notes taped to cameras and boom mics. A fresh fruit basket in the makeup room. It wasn't a grand show. It was quiet kindness, passed forward. The crew noticed. They smiled more. The mood on set softened. People laughed a little louder, worked a little easier. But it wasn't just about kindness. Something deeper was happening between Anna and Keanu. Not romance, not yet. Something even more rare in their world, trust. They began to share pieces of themselves in the in-between moments. During wardrobe changes, late-night pickups, or while walking to set, Anna told him about her early days in Cuba, how she worked hard, how she felt like an outsider when she first came to Hollywood, how fame never filled the quiet ache she sometimes carried at night. Keanu listened. He didn't interrupt. He never told her to move on or to look on the bright side. He simply let her be honest. In return, he opened up about the pain he kept, locked away, about losing people he loved, about the silence that followed, about how sometimes he still woke up not knowing what day it was because the grief bent time in strange ways. They weren't trying to fix each other. They were just there, present. And that alone was healing. One evening, after a long shoot that ended past midnight, Anna waited near Keanu's trailer. She held something behind her baka, small notebook, wrapped in brown paper. When he stepped out, surprised to see her there, she smiled. "This is for you," she said. Keanu took it carefully and looked at the cover. It was blank. "What is it?" he asked. "It's empty," she said. "Every page is a promise, whenever you feel heavy, right? Even if it's just one word." He opened the cover and saw her handwriting on the first page. "You listened when I didn't know how to speak. Now, this is for you." Keanu didn't speak right away. He just looked at her eyes, filled with something quiet and deep. "Thank you," he said. Finally, Anna smiled. "You don't have to say that, I know," he whispered. "But I want to." They both laughed, in a world that often moved too fast, where words were loud and gestures even louder. Their connection was something else, something soft, something that needed no performance. They didn't know what would happen next, whether the movie would be a hit or forgotten, whether the world would ever understand the quiet bond they were building. But for now, they were here together. Echoes in the Silence film was nearing its final weeks of shooting. Every scene now held more weight, not just for the story they were telling, because it meant the time Anna and Keanu spent together on set was slowly slipping away. What began as silent moments had become something unspoken yet powerful. Not labeled, not rushed, just real. On a Monday morning, something shifted. Anna arrived on set looking distracted. Her usual warmth was dim. The crew noticed, but no one asked. Only Keanu saw past the mask she wore. He had learned to read the little signs. The way she kept glancing at her phone. The way she held her coffee without sipping. The way her laughter came a second too late. During a short break, he walked over and sat beside her on a bench near the soundstage. They didn't speak at first. The birds chirped faintly in the background. The wind moved gently across the parking lot. After a while, Anna broke the silence. "My brother's sick," she said. "He's back home. They found something in his lungs." "He didn't tell me until now." Keanu didn't say anything right away. He just nodded slowly. He said he didn't want to distract me. He wanted me to focus on work. But how do you focus when your heart's somewhere else? Keanu leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. "You don't. And it's okay. Sometimes our hearts know better than our minds." Anna wiped her eyes, frustrated. "I feel guilty being here, smiling for cameras, learning lines. And they're probably scared." Keanu turned to her. "Then let's do something that makes him feel less alone." Anna looked at him. It's like, "What?" Tell him you're bringing him here for a day. What? He can sit in the director's chair. Meet the cast. See how proud you are? Let him be part of your world, even just for a moment. Anna hesitated. He's shy. He won't want attention. Then we'll keep it quiet. No announcements, just family. She looked at Keanu, eyes full of gratitude. You always know what to say, he smiled. I just know how it feels to wish you had said something sooner. 3 days later, Anna's brother arrived. He was quiet, just like she had said. Thin, with tired eyes. But when he saw her face light up, something inside him softened. He sat near the monitors while she acted. Keanu stayed close, introducing him gently to the crew, guiding him with kindness. Between takes, Anna's brother asked for a photo with her and Keanu. They stood together, arms around each other. No fancy poses, just real smiles. When the camera clicked, Anna's brother whispered, I haven't seen her this happy in a long time. Keanu heard it. Didn't reply, just gave a soft nod. After the visit, Anna's energy changed. Not in a loud way, but in a centered one. She worked with more ease. Her laughter returned. The sadness didn't vanish, but it no longer controlled her. She had found balance between duty and love. A week later, Anna handed Keanu a small box. Inside was a tiny key. What's this? He asked. It opens a locker at the train station, she said. Don't worry, there's no mystery. Just something I wanted you to have. Keanu smiled. You're making me curious. Good, she said. Curiosity means you're still living. After wrap that day, Keanu went to the train station. He opened the locker and found a leather-bound journal filled with entries. Not hers, but stories from the crew. Every person had written something about how Keanu made their day better. How he offered quiet advice. How he stepped in without being asked. Small things. Real things. On the last page, Anna's words were, written in blue ink, I thought kindness was a soft thing. Something the world would forget. But then you showed me it could be the strongest thing of all. Keanu closed the journal and held it in his hands. He didn't need applause. He didn't need awards. What he needed was right there. Proof that sometimes just being good changes everything in Anna. She was beginning to see that too. When the lights went out, weather changed. Cold winds rolled across the city as autumn began to settle in. The film was nearing its final scenes, and tension ran high. Everything had to be perfect. The director grew stricter. The days grew longer. The laughter on set turned quieter, replaced by tired sighs and tighter schedules. Anna felt it most. She had the final monologue, a scene that would define the whole movie. One long shot, one camera. One moment to break or shine, she rehearsed. Endlessly, her nerves rising with each line. This wasn't about getting the words right. It was about pouring her soul into them. She wanted it to mean something. It's not just for the audience, but for herself. She didn't want to perform. She wanted to speak truth. Keanu watched her from a distance, knowing she was pushing herself. He'd seen it before actors burning too. Bright for too long, forgetting to breathe. The night before the big shoot, Anna sat alone in her trailer. The script lay open on her lap, but her eyes were closed. She was exhausted, not just in body, but in spirit. The fear had crept in again. What? If she failed? What if all the work, all the emotion didn't come through? What if she wasn't enough? Then came a knock. She opened the door and saw Keanu holding 2 mugs of tea. He didn't speak. He just held one out to her and gestured toward the nearby bench. They sat in silence, sipping tea under the stars. The studio lights were off. The world was still. You know, he began slowly. I once did a scene I thought would break me. It was years ago. I prepared for weeks. When the moment came, I froze. The camera rolled. The room went silent. I felt everything leave me. Anna looked at him, surprised. What happened? I breathed, he said. Then I stopped trying to perform and just told the truth. And they kept the take? They did. Anna smiled. Were you scared? Terrified. But fear isn't failure. It's just proof you care. The next morning, the entire crew prepared for the final scene. A hush fell over the set. The camera was locked. The lights were perfect. Everyone waited. Anna stepped onto the stage. Her hands shook slightly. Her breath came in short waves. She looked out into the dark space beyond the camera, searching for something to ground her. Then she saw him, Keanu, sitting off to the side, just beyond the frame, eyes locked on hers. He didn't move. He didn't mouth words. He was simply there, steady, calm, present. She took a breath and began. Her voice wavered at first, then steadied. Her words weren't lines anymore. They were memories, emotions, lived pain. She spoke of love, of loss, of finding herself when everything else was gone. Tears welled in her eyes, not because the script demanded them, but because the moment was real when she finished. The room was silent. No one moved. Then came the quiet sound of a single clap. It was Keanu, soft, slow, honest. Others joined in slowly. Unsure if applause could honor something so delicate, Anna didn't bow. She didn't speak. She just smiled. Afterward, when everyone wrapped for the day, Keanu found her in the hallway. She didn't say anything. She just hugged him. I did it, she whispered. You did? He replied. And it was beautiful. Helped me believe I could. He pulled back and looked at her with kind eyes. You never needed me to believe. You just needed someone to remind you. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. Not from restlessness, but from a deep sense of peace. She felt something she hadn't in a long time. She felt proud. Not because of a performance, not because of applause, but because she had faced herself, and won in Keanu. He went home, sat in his quiet apartment, and opened the journal she had given him. He turned to a fresh page and wrote just 4 words. She found her light. The gift she never expected. Final week of shooting arrived with a strange kind of stillness. Scenes were shorter. The crew quieter. No one said it out loud, but everyone felt the end approaching. The rhythm they had built together for months was about to end, and with it, something special. Anna walked through the set with mixed emotions. She had grown here, not just as an actress, but as a person. She had faced doubts, exhaustion, and fear. But she had also found unexpected strength. And most of all, she had found Keanu. He had become more than just a co-star. He had become a steady light, a soft place to land. There was no pressure, no confusion. It's only mutual respect, a rare kind of friendship that neither had expected. On the last day, the crew prepared for wrap. Decorations were hung, speeches were written, the director rehearsed his thank you notes. Everyone was waiting for the big wrap party that would come after the final scene. But Keanu had other plans. The night before, he had gone out quietly, driving across town. No assistants, no publicist. He spent hours choosing something, not because it was expensive, but because it had to be right, personal, meaningful. The next morning, Ina stepped into her trailer for the final time. There, on her table, was a small wooden box with a handwritten note placed neatly on top. Her heart beat. A little faster. She opened the note first. The handwriting was familiar. You taught me that stillness is sometimes the loudest truth. I wanted you to have something that carries the same weight. Inside the box was a delicate pendant, shaped like a tiny compass. It was simple. Silver. Elegant. But there was more. She lifted the pendant and noticed an engraving on the back. For small words, keep walking your way. Anna held it in her palm, tears rising in her eyes. It wasn't about the gift. It was about being seen. Truly seen. It's not as a rising star or a famous name, but as someone human, real, trying her best. Later that evening, as the wrap party kicked off, music blared and laughter filled the lot. People toasted with sparkling drinks. Hugs were given, selfies taken. But Anna searched for one person. She found Keanu standing alone near the edge of the crowd, quietly sipping from a cup. Watching the celebration from a distance, as he often did, she walked up to him, her voice soft. You didn't have to. He smiled. Gentle as ever, I know. But you did anyway. looked at her thoughtful. Some people pass through your life like noise. Others stay with you. Music you'd never want to end. Anna looked down at the compass. This. It means more than I can explain. Keanu nodded, then say nothing. Just carry it. They stood there for a while, the noise fading behind them. You know, Anna said after a long pause, I don't want this to be the end. It doesn't have to be, he said. We'll both go on to other films, other sets, but this, what we found here, it feels rare. Keanu looked at her carefully. You don't need to label it. We just need to honor it. Anna smiled. How? By not letting it fade. Even when the lights go down. As the night drew on, they returned to the party, but stayed close. Not out of obligation, not because others expected it, but because it felt right. Effortless Keanu never made grand declarations. He didn't need to. His presence, his gestures, said more than words ever could. And Anna? She couldn't stop smiling. Not because of a pendant. Not even because of Keanu. But because, for the first time in a long time, she felt grounded, cherished, understood, and in a world of flashing cameras and fleeting applause, that kind of connection was the greatest gift of all. Goodbye was never the end. Studio gates closed behind them for the final time. Sets were being taken down. Makeup mirrors unplugged. Wardrobe racks wheeled away. The movie was done, locked in memory and film. Anna stood outside, suitcase beside her, watching the empty lot where so much had changed for her. She didn't want to leave. Not yet. Her heart felt full. But there was a weight too, the kind you carry when something beautiful comes to an end. Keanu stepped out from his trailer, dressed simply, just like always, his expression calm, but his eyes searching for her. Met across the lot, no words were spoken at first, just a shared look, a quiet understanding. He walked over and stood beside her. Feels strange, she said, like I'm leaving a part of me behind. You're not leaving it, he replied. You're taking it with you, different now, stronger. Anna looked at him. Will it fade? He shook his head. Not if it was real. They stood in silence. Cars passed by beyond the gate. I've waited for them outside, with all its noise and speed. But here, in this quiet space, they weren't actors or stars. They were two souls who had simply chosen to be kind to one another. What now? Anna asked Dot. Keanu smiled softly. You go do your next story, I go do mine. And us? We don't need to answer that today, Anna nodded. She understood. Not every beautiful connection needs a conclusion. Some just continue, even from far away. Will you write? She asked. Always. He reached into his coat pocket and handed her something smaller folded piece of paper. What's this? She asked, unfolding it slowly. Inside were typed words, simple and quiet. If the world ever gets too loud, meet me where the silence lives. She looked up, her eyes misty. Where is that? She whispered. You'll know, he said. You've been there before? A car horn sounded in the distance. Her ride had arrived. Anna picked up her bag, then turned to him. She didn't say goodbye, neither did he. Instead, she hugged him. Not a quick goodbye hug, a long holding-on hug. It's the kind you give when words fall short. Then she stepped back, smiling through her tears. Thank you for seeing me, she said. Thank you for letting me, he replied. And with that, she walked away, heart open. Compass pendant resting on her chest, a quiet fire in her step. In the weeks that followed, Anna began her next film. The set was different, the people unfamiliar. But something had changed. In her, she was more grounded, more present. She listened deeper. She offered quiet gestures of kindness, handwritten notes, words of encouragement, just like he had once done for her. The crew noticed. They whispered, she's different. And they were right. One night, alone in her trailer, Anna opened the compass and ran her fingers over the engraving. Keep walking your way. She smiled, then she opened a new journal and began writing. Not a script, not a line for a scene, but a letter, dear. Keanu, miles away, Keanu sat on a bench in a quiet garden, the same journal Anna had gifted him resting on his knee. He turned to a blank page and began to write too. Somewhere between silence and distance, their words would meet, and in those words they would live. Not as characters on a screen, but as two hearts that found something. Rare, kindness, truth, and the courage to simply be.